I can't wait till you hear Richard. He's amazing. Richard Scott, everyone, founder of Smart Inspiration. And he's a futurist. And you'll see why in a few minutes. You'll understand. He blends technology, business, and neuroscience and humor. He is pretty funny. Richard designs talks that are practical, entertaining, and immediately useful. He speaks on building resilient businesses, creating compelling products, running effective teams, and using technology will letting it use you. So his talk is all about being lazy by design. And one of the things I always talk about is when you start your rental business, you want to design it, you want to implement it in such a way where you're not doing all the work. You want to have a hands-off approach so you live an easier life while at the same time earning money. And so he uses that. His talk is being lazy by design, rethinking property management with smart tech and real-time reporting. No one has more than 24 hours in a day, yet property management is becoming more and more demanding, not less. Portfolios are growing, compliance requirements are increasing, and the expectations for transparency, responsiveness, and accuracy continues to rise. The session looks at how property management is evolving to scale without adding proportionate effort. The focus is on making the right information available to the right people at the right time and in the right way, reducing friction, duplication, and unnecessary administration. Here, here. Understanding the needs of tenants or guests, visitors, service providers or vendors, inspectors, landlords is key to improve interaction through deliberate design, structured data access, intuitive interaction, and real-time reports. The world of property management is destined to change. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Richard Scott. Hey, Richard.
Hey, thank you. Can you all hear me fine?
As you can tell, Richard is from the UK. You can tell from that accent.
There we are. I have the accent of a Bond villain. What more can you ask for? Well, firstly, thank you for the invitation to be here today. And what a great introduction. Thank you very much. And what a fun event it has been so far. What a fun event this is. I mean, we've seen everything so far from concrete solar panels to storytelling tips. And a lot of work has gone into making this event happen and go so smoothly. So that's brilliant. So let's begin. How many people genuinely here want to do things the hard way? Yep, show of hands, I think I'm going to see none. Okay. Nobody wants to do things the hard way. Either basically people are too lazy to put their hands up, which I doubt, or the reality is that we're always looking for the easiest, reliable way to get the results that we want, as long as it doesn't take too much effort to do it. True or true? Let's face it, no pain, no gain is fine for bodybuilders, resilience building, and character building. But do we really want to do things the hard way? Technology. People see that as the answer to everything, but technology is a magnifier. It magnifies both the good and the bad. And a hammer helped cavemen to shape their world, but it also helped a lot of them to shape an awful lot of thumbs too. Okay, but enough about the Y2K BC bug. This principle applies to any technology. And technology has its upsides and downsides. It's designed to bring us benefits, in theory, but only when we use it right. Use it badly, and we can create far more problems for ourselves. True or true? There's all of these bandwagons. People are always jumping on them, even if they have no idea where they're going. And I frequently say that people have this illusion of heading west and they often go very south. Bandwagons aren't new. The waves of technology bandwagons have been sweeping society since the dawn of intelligent life, or fairly intelligent life. We can all look at fire, wheel, or arrows fire bringing heat and cooking food, killing bacteria and causing burns. Yep, we can look at the wheel carrying goods, going too fast, with accidents costing lives and livelihoods, or arrows making hunting easier, but also killing each other easier too. 500 years ago, we invented printed books and helped with a wave of education improvements, increasing our knowledge and helping to turn witchcraft into science. And this all started to decline good handwriting. There's always a good and a bad. We invented all of these wonderful factory machines. Apart from weaving textiles and melting steel, these coal-fired steam-producing machines also managed to power great big steamers across the oceans, allowing us to travel without having to use heavy winds or heavy rowing. But these machines also started global mass pollution. And now we can see that everybody's on this AI bandwagon, looking for ways to make their lives easier. The quick wins, always trying to solve the complex problems. But the reality is, who's solving the easy problems? So 100 years ago, we had cars come along, planes allowing us to get to places quicker, our personal transportation network so we could do things quicker, make life easier, be lazier, and we could go around the world in 80 hours, not 80 days. And the race just kept getting faster and faster. 30 years ago, just 30 years ago, we invented the internet, Wi-Fi, intranets, extranets, and then we had smartphones with the internet in the palm of our hands, always trying to make life easier for us. But did it make it easier? Well, it certainly made us an awful lot more contactable, which wasn't necessarily so great for work-life balance. But our only respite, I guess, could be to do with flaky reception, which we often swear about, but maybe it's actually trying to do us a favor at the same time. So 2020 comes along, and I set up a little company called openai.org.uk. And in 2022, openai.com made the name of itself for itself with ChatGPT. And AI was originally intended not for how we're using it today, but for analyzing unimaginable amounts of raw data in the many picobytes. And that meant that we had this massive leap forward into the mainstream when we could actually handle the complex inputs with documents, prompts, and all of that wonderful stuff that you all know about, and actually all of these wonderful outputs. And people started trying to really get to use AI in their business and try to do things. But again, it's a bit like the hammer. We're getting an awful lot of people with broken thumbs who are trying to actually use it in ways it's not intended for. Yes, we're going to have more futuristic bandwagons to look forward to. We're going to have AI-driven robotics, portable offline AI, and many more advancements. We're already starting to see them being piloted, but most people have no idea to handle what we've already got. Yep. So with each bandwagon, the pace of our lives quickens. I'm sure that anybody will put into the chat just how many times they've felt that their life is actually going so much quicker than it's ever gone before. And these expectations that we place upon ourselves increase. And with it, we feel we've got to use it. Otherwise, we're going to get overtaken by everybody else. And people think that there's this necessity to jump on bandwagons because they're too afraid to get left behind. And as I said, most people have got no idea how to use any of these bandwagons properly, and there will always be the next bandwagon. Once we've got past one, there will be another and another and another, and sometimes many all at the same time. But what about the world of property management? I hear you thinking, I didn't come here to talk about AI. Well, to listen about AI, well, I didn't really come here to talk about it either, so I guess we're on the same track. Yep. Property management is a lovely industry, and let us explore it a little bit more with a simple question. Okay. And if you've never deeply considered this, it will truly change your lives. Okay. And if you sell any product or service, whatever it is, who are you actually selling it to? Who are you selling it to? Yep. In most cases, it's not the person that's in front of you, but it's instead all of the voices in their head representing the people they feel accountable to that are telling them whether they're making a good or a bad decision. As much as somebody might love to buy that beautiful red sports car, for example, if all they can hear is the voice of their partner telling them what a stupid decision it is that they'll be making, they won't buy it. We're steered not by our own thoughts, but by those stakeholders of the person we're talking to. So, a stakeholder, just for terminology's sake, is anyone we are connected to that influences our decisions. They could be our customers, they could be our suppliers, they could be our family, they could be our competitors. These are anybody who influences our decisions. So the decision maker is not actually the person in front of you who can classify who can you classify as a stakeholder? Yep, anybody who basically can influence our decisions. So if you actually think about all the stakeholders that are sat on their shoulders, telling them all the reasons not to do it, how do you get past that? And the answer to that is actually quite easy. You work out how to make them look good, as in the person in front of you. How can you make them look good to their stakeholders for them buying into whatever your opportunity is? And ideally help them to make their stakeholders look good too. So if you're making their stakeholders look good to their stakeholders, then you're absolutely on for a winner. And within the property management world, I'll explain how this principle comes into great use in lots of ways, especially with technology. So the key is really to know who their stakeholders are and what sort of influence they have, right? And what they each want. You please them, and if you please them, you please the person who is in front of you as well. Okay, so if they please their stakeholders, then you are automatically going to be pleasing them because you're going to make them look good. So hopefully that makes perfect sense. And please do in the chats or otherwise, let me know if that's triggered a life-changing revelation in you. Because when you consider the stakeholders, you're onto a whole new level of making that influence. So what do you need to get better with, to save you time, to automate, or to improve the experiences for all of your stakeholders and their stakeholders? Let's have a look very quickly at how we can use smart technology to make property management better for you and better for your stakeholders. So if we look at what a tenant wants, a tenant wants the ability, for example, to be able to check the status of something, to get instructions for something, to get help, to report an issue. So if you can make it so that then that's all that that tenant sees, then you're suddenly able to communicate with them without giving them the extra noise that they have to digest. And everyone now has come across QR codes. It only took 30 years since they were invented. Yep. And everybody now has also come across NFC tags, even though it's not necessarily as commonplace in terminology as QRs yet. They've only been around for 22 years, used in the past few years for things like Apple Pay and Google Pay. Yes, that's technology. And they can also be used for smart tags too, just like a QR, but even easier. No camera, just a tap. Okay. And so if you have NFC tags or QR tags on appliances, on assets, you can give the tenant the right journey so they can report an issue, look up the instructions, or do whatever the interaction is that you really want them to do and give them the information. The same for a guest. If you have a guest staying somewhere as opposed to a tenant, they'll want the same sort of thing, that they want to be able to tap on the tag on the TV and it'll say, this is how you can use a TV, or this is how you can report an issue with the TV. Whatever the appliance is, the boiler's not working, there's no hot water, the showers, it doesn't matter what. You can have one for every single thing so that then you have this really comprehensive instruction set and the ability for people to feel listened to by allowing them to report an issue, attach a photograph, and all the rest of it. The same for a cleaner. How many times have you actually been into somewhere like a sort of a fast food chain and you've noticed in the toilets that there's a bit of paper on the back of the door, this scabby piece of paper, and it's got no signatures on it, and it says it's supposed to be checked every 20 minutes. You then go back there half an hour later and suddenly it's all signed. Why? Because somebody's gone in there and gone, oh, we haven't signed it for the last few hours. Quick, catch up. But imagine you had an automated way that meant that every single time somebody tapped it, it did an audit trail. It captured the time slot. So you could actually then use that tag to log entry, to log exit, to confirm that you started, confirm you've finished, to report issues, to have the cleaner so they can send photographs, say this is broken, or I've done a sterling job here, or I've repaired this myself. Whatever it is, you've got that ability to improve communication at their level, making that stakeholder look good because they're able to communicate with you in the way that they need to do so and the stuff that you need to receive. Make sense? It's the same for a gas engineer. And I don't mean gas like petrol in America, I'm talking gas like natural gas. And so you might have somebody there to service the boiler. They need to do the certificates to make sure that everything is completely legitimate and above board. And the certificate's going to run out and they'll need to upload a new one. You make it so that then their experience is all they ever need to worry about. They can see the last certificate, they can see the expiry date, they can add a comment, they can send through notes. It's a great way to interact, giving people just what they need and no more. You don't want them to be consuming extra brain calories just to have to figure out where they need to put their information. And then they miss things because they go, oh, I thought that applied to somebody else. You make it really, really simple. Why does this all matter? And it's the same with security guards. So you can actually have them proving that they were actually at a particular time and location at the same time. There's all of these wonderful interactions that you can have. The plumber, all of the different people servicing it, the handyman, you name it, the inspector who's come to do an audit of the property. Even you can look at the landlord. What does the landlord need? Well, they'll need to be able to capture all of the information. They want to get a summary of this and they want to get a report on that. And they want to see photographs to prove that actually, yeah, that does need to be replaced, or no, that's damaged by so-and-so person, so we've got to charge them. You make it easy for everybody. And then they can be lazy. And if you've got it all automated and structured, you can be lazy too. That audit log is the key for a lot of the technology. Otherwise, you go, well, who put that in? Where did that come from? Without the audit log, you've lost it. So if every stakeholder got just the right information, if every stakeholder could update only the information you want them to update, how much time could you save? Would this allow you to be lazy? Would it allow you to make better decisions and use your time more effectively? I'm pretty sure you'll see the answer is yes. And there's so many ways to adopt technology in the world of property management. But in doing so, are we making our lives easier or just more complex? Does technology actually save us time and effort, or does it increase the risk of things going wrong? This is where those bandwagons come in again, because lots of people jump on them, but they often fall off unexpectedly because they don't really understand what they're dealing with. And they're not really ready for that ride into this great future. Technology should allow us to be lazy, to save time, to save effort, to make reporting easier, right? I'm sure you agree. Technology used wrong makes the value of using technology questionable. Bad technology works until it doesn't. And then you have the pain of fixing all of the problems that it's brought because it's not being used properly. So this is a contrast that I'm sure will resonate. Good technology shows you when there's a problem, right? Great technology helps make it easy to recover from a problem. And invisible technology fixes it so there is no problem. And it's exactly the same with customer service. Good customer service recognizes the need to overcome a problem. Great customer service recognizes and rewards for the inconvenience of experiencing that problem. And invisible customer service means inconvenience is avoided completely. Technology will give your stakeholders the experience they deserve, make their lives easier, help them avoid problems, and make the problems easier, invisible, and easy to resolve. Okay. In this day and age, there's almost no excuse for choosing a bad option. Okay. So, very quickly, where I like to come from at Aurora for Good, my company, Smart Inspiration, all of these different ventures that I actually partner with and work with. We want our technology to be great, not just good. We want it to be invisible where we can, to help make it great for our stakeholders, and their stakeholders. And with AI becoming more and more and more useful, the right integration of AI will see great systems become invisible, but only if we do it right. So my own company, Aurora, over the last 10 years, I've built from the ground up using inventory management as a great reference point for how we can use our smart tags to really make a real difference. And I'm sure you'll have your own ideas of how you would want your own way of managing that information and that data. But no matter what you use, you've got to make sure it's easy and you restrict it to just the right information for the right people at the right time in the right format. And that itself takes a lot of thought. Technology is always moving on. We all know that. Nothing stands still. And with my AI company, openai.org.uk, started in 2020, we were always looking at how to make life easier and be lazier. And after all, if you've got enough on your plate, you don't have time to waste. So we're about to launch our property tags to the wider market with our growing network of resellers across the globes. And we've obviously got our property management tags built on our inventory management expertise. Yeah. And I want to sort of get obviously lots of feedback. So if anybody does want to actually get involved with us, we would love to have your feedback and maybe in exchange for a case study or two, because how else do you prove you know what you're doing? But what have you learned here today, or at least what have I covered? Technology, like a caveman's hammer, can bring good or bad. It's not the hammer's fault if you use it wrong. There are options, always options. Don't rush onto the shiny bandwagon or risk getting thrown off, often spectacularly even. It's not the stakeholder in front of you, it's a stakeholder's stakeholder you should be thinking of pleasing. Your job is to avoid stakeholders having to consume any brain calories. Everyone wants an easy life. Make it easy for them. You make it easy for them, they make it rewarding for you. Simple as that. So technology has a great place in making property management easier. Use it well and use it wisely. And then you can discover lazy by design. Thank you. Back to you, Emin.
That's amazing. That's amazing, amazing, Richard. And such a pain point for us property managers. Having all these appliances, furniture, policy, best practices, so much data. And just,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about this more in a couple of minutes. I have a segment called Own Your Data in the Age of AI. And so, Richard, we're about to geek out for a second. Richard is a technologist like myself. He's a big time guy, though. I only worked 30 years. He's an inventor. But anyway, so at a very high level, there's three basic layers to systems technology. If you go to work every day, you guys punch into your computer and you start doing things. But
Mm-hmm.
at the very highest level, there's three layers that you're all familiar with. You have the presentation layer, and that's basically your web browser where you enter information in, the pretty pictures, you look at the copy. The next layer is the service layer, which we call the management layer. That's where all the business logic is. If this person is a guest, do certain things. And then finally, we have the database layer, where all that data, own your data in the age of AI. We'll talk about the database layer. So my question, Richard, and you guys, you type in questions if you have, and these are my personal questions that'll help you guys. But how does smart tag inter interact with each layer? Is it just one layer, the service layer, or all three?
From my side, it's all three. Everything has been built very much from the ground up. And one of the things that we've said with the Aurora platform, which runs a membership for good system, which is where a lot of the data is actually held, what we've said is we want to be so good that you can export your data anytime. It's your data. You own your data. You want to be able to access it. Never, ever, ever. This is my recommendation. Take it or leave it. Unsolicited advice here. Never, ever, ever put all of your data into a system you can't get the data back from. Why would you do that? You will be held to ransom. So we've got a principle at Aurora for Good and Membership for Good, which is, we can say to people, take your data anytime you like. You can export it all. It's all yours because it's yours. Yeah. You don't need an excuse. It's your data, right? And we want all of our customers to stay with us because they love what we do, not because we're holding them to ransom. It makes our job a lot harder, but we're a heck of a lot more proud of it.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. And that's a great segue for later on. Another question. You're familiar with the term, and all this technologists are, something called garbage in, garbage out.
Oh, yes.
So if you're not popular, if you don't own your data from the start, like you don't have the numbers, the serial number for your stove or your washer and dryer, if you don't have photos of those appliances, if you don't have data to get this thing started, how handicapped is that person as it relates to smart tags? Do they need to clean their data first, or
I would say that you can actually do this both in synchrony as long as you do it in a structured way. The worst thing you can do is try to dump all of your data and then try to sort it out afterwards. That's like mixing all of the contents of your fridge in a bucket and then trying to separate it out again. You're not going to. Yep. You're going to end up with this massive concoction of all sorts of things all muddled together. But the secret is to actually to get it right and then you can filter it out. And it's always better to actually clean it up before you put it in rather than try to sort it in situ. And so that data quality is something that has always been a challenge with a lot of organizations who have kind of gone, we need to make changes now. And you're kind of going, but you need to sort that out first. Oh, no, but we need to make changes now. And a lot of companies will do the throw it all in a bucket and we'll sort it out later routine. And they suffer for it majorly. It's like the people who can go, well, actually, why don't we cut that out of the project? We can save 3 weeks. Yes, you're going to save yourself $50,000, but it's also going to cost your company 5 million. And they don't care. Rather than them actually focus and get that done first, then they could save 5 million and have an even better Christmas party. But no, instead, they actually focus on that short-term gain, which has a longer-term loss. And clearing up the data, doing it early, doing it well, doing it reliably, AI is brilliant at helping with a lot of that as well, because you don't always get to spot some of these things. You go, what's the emissions? Anything that looks wrong? There's some great ways you can use AI and a million other tools to help to get your data clean relatively quickly now. However, it's very much get it right, import it cleanly, keep it clean, keep it up to date, and flag anything that's not right, anything that's not there. If you do a regular export and you pass it through, and I'm going to keep saying AI because it's one of the great ways to do it. It's like a very, very, very low cost employee to kind of go check this and let us know where the gaps are. You can throw it through and it will say, well, you've got a gap here. That looks like it's there. You've got a duplicate there. You can't be in two places. Why have you got the same serial number for this item when they're in two different places? Oh, it's because we actually put that, we swapped it over and we never actually updated that one. Yep. And it's that cleanliness you can actually use lots of great ways to keep on top of. But data quality is absolutely the key. We've all complained about AI vomiting lots of rubbish and spitting out all sorts of things that are completely pointless and wrong. Why? Because it's got the wrong data in there. Yep. If it didn't have the wrong data in there, it would give you the right answer. Simple.
amazing? So, Rich, I'm going to put your gift inside the chat for everyone. If I have your email, should they reach you by email? Because that's what I have in my notes, and I'm going to post it right now. Do you want the email? You want some other link or?
Yeah, well, I can be contacted via openai.org.uk, contacted via Smart Inspiration, contacted via Aurora for Good. I'm quite an easy person to contact. So, yes, email, phone number, pigeon post, whatever works.
All right, guys. So the free gift we have in, I just put it in the chat. Property management group access. So there's just a group access, which is really nice collaboration. We're going to talk about collaboration also later with the amazing Jason. Um, so access community is really important. So access property management group with special tips, trips, tricks using tech to improve property management administration. You can
Yeah.
email him, and then you can use the QR code he had in the window a few minutes ago. And do we have any? And I just want to just touch upon how important it is. This technology is going to be a no-brainer for all property managers because I've been a property manager for my property since 2001, and then I went solo almost a decade ago for other landlords. And one consistent problem: what item? What about it? What resource? Is it the cleaner? Is it plumber? What about him?
Yeah.
And if you have a way to track and monetize even, because in some of our homes we have artifacts that you can buy. Do you have a tag for that? So you have multiple uses, right, for the tag?
Absolutely, absolutely. And those the tags that we've deliberately designed them so that they're actually not only really, really cost effective, but they can also reuse them, you can transfer them, you can move them around, you can reassign them. And there's so many great ways that you can actually put them to good use. And as I said, by having different user journeys, different experiences that you consider for the, oh, well, if a tenant looks at it versus if a gas safety engineer looks at it versus if a cleaner looks at it, you can have a completely different experience. Because who wants to see all of the rest of the stuff? You only want to know about your bit. We all want to be lazy. We all want to burn less brain calories. So the key is to make it easy for everyone.
And that's a really important point Richard just brought up. We call that rules-based logic. Rules basically based, not rules-based, roles-based logic. So if you're a cleaner, you're assigned as a cleaner role. If you're administrative, you guys are familiar with administration in your Word, Windows application, your PC. Administration, you see everything. And so for guests, you may just want to isolate the things you're going to sell. You might sell them extra supplies, a gift basket you might sell. And you might want to only isolate the role of guests to buy products and also how they work the Wi-Fi and all the operational things that you would normally use. But yeah, you can really push it out. It's really flexible. I think it's a no-brainer. And the big thing is problem we have is when something breaks down, do you have the right service provider? You got all his contact, you got the serial number vendor. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're running out of time, Rich. So you have any parting shots?
Only to remember that, as I said, technology is that magnifier. And the number of people that I've seen who have treated it like a caveman with a hammer, getting their thumb, make sure that if it does go wrong, you're ready for it. And most people aren't.
Here, here. All right, Rich, we'll talk later.
Speak to you later. Thank
Thanks
you.
again.